It looked like a typical day for Kyle Larson at Homestead Miami Speedway, a track where he thrives. But what seemed like another dominant performance turned into a nail-biting race that left fans and analysts talking. Larson's victory, while impressive, came with unexpected challenges that have raised questions about Hendrick Motorsports' strategy moving forward. Larson's victory at Homestead added to his already rich resume at Hendrick Motorsports, adding to his record wins as well. A total of 24 wins under Hendrick's banner and 30 across the Cup Series altogether, and indeed, Lars has cemented himself among the best. Only Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon have more wins for Rick Hendrick, putting Larson in elite company. But even after winning, Larson himself admitted that it wasn't the way it was expected to go. From the very start, Larson proved he wouldn't merely run away like most expected. Ryan Blaney was leading while Bubba Wallace got knocked right down to second and appeared to be back in the fight for the win. With 33 laps to go, Alex Bowman had made a move to get by Wallace, giving all indications that this thing was going to get lively to the checkers, and Larson had no intentions of backing down. That final segment of racing turned into a contest between Larson and his Hendrick Motorsports teammate Bowman, who was trying to follow Larson's high line, which was a risky maneuver that took excellent execution. But with just 6 laps to go, Bowman's miscalculation on his line caused him to hit the wall, opening the door for Larson. Larson went right on by and never looked back at the checkered flag. But here is where it gets interesting for Hendrick Motorsports. Larson's car took serious beatings throughout the race, featuring scrapes on his right side and a dent in the left door after his collision with Josh Berry on the pit lane. Larson admitted even after winning that he hit the wall several times and made mistakes that could have cost him the race. Finishing second, Bowman lingered in thoughtful reflection on self-inflicted wounds. He had the speed, he said, but his mistake cost him in getting to victory lane. Wallace added to the intensity of the race with his strong showing, leading 56 laps en route to what would be his 2025 best. As the dust settles, Hendrick Motorsports now finds itself in an interesting new space. While wins continue to flow to Larson, the margin for error becomes smaller and smaller. With the playoffs coming, every decision and every mistake has the potential to be huge. Questions swirl about what lies ahead for Hendrick Motorsports. That's the question everyone is asking. While Larson rejoiced over his win, a close examination of his car showed the wear and tear of the race. His number 5 Chevrolet was battered, with numerous scrapes along the right front and back fenders. The most conspicuous damage was a dented left side door due to the collision with Josh Berry on the pit lane. Visibly, although the car was not well damaged, his ability to manage meant that he closed in on the victory. But now that the playoffs are coming near, such damage is of concern to the durability of the car and the team avoiding costly mistakes in such high-stakes situations. Following the race, Larson remarked immediately that his performance was not even close to perfection. He confessed to hitting the wall several times throughout the race, something he is not known for in his precise driving. "I made too many mistakes," said Larson when asked about those near misses that could have possibly cost him the race. But he wasn't stingy with saying good words about the effort and resilience his crew put in. Despite all those, they were able to have Larson stay in contention and keep the car worthy of being in the game until the end. Larson's humility and appreciation of his team did underline the very thin bond in Hendrick Motorsports, an element that goes on to fuel their success. In the other corner of the garage, Alex Bowman had mixed feelings concerning how he handled himself. At the front, he had gotten an early lead, going on to spend 43 laps strung out but contesting well himself to the very last moment. However, it was a split-second bad call that cost him the race. Trying to again match Larson's highline approach, Bowman was too aggressive with just 6 laps to go as he hit the wall. That error hurt his momentum, allowing Larson to take over. It ultimately finished with him 1.2 seconds behind Larson, a bitter outcome after coming so tantalizingly close to victory. On the mistake he had made, he was very frank about it in his comments after the race. "I just tried too hard to match Kyle's line, and it bit me," was Bowman's admission. His honesty reflected a desire to learn from the experience and bounce back stronger from it. Bowman finished solidly in second place, but it now played on his mind about what might have been had he just been a little safer in the closing laps. With Hendrick Motorsports heading into this next stretch of the season, Homestead has valuable lessons to impart as well. What Larson brings to that definition, what Bowman shows to that determination, and what the organization demonstrates through the trial will all be critical to determining where they go from here. But of course, as the competition heats up, the margin for error leaves much less space. Can Hendrick Motorsports keep their edge and deliver when the conditions matter? Only time will tell. Bubba Wallace capped a major event at Homestead Miami Speedway with one of the strongest races during the 2025 season. Leading 56 laps, Wallace became only second to Ryan Blaney as an opponent for most of the race. His pace and ability to fend off challengers for a substantial period proved his and his team's strides. Although Wallace took home the number 3 spot, it was his best finish of the season and showed all signs pointing to where 23XI Racing needed to go. Almost immediately after the race, Wallace acknowledged his team. He praised the pit crew for their consistency and improvements attributed to Wallace's strong showing this season. "The crew has really stepped it up," Wallace said. "Their work on pit road gave me a chance to stay up front and fight for a top finish." It is hoped that Wallace's somewhat upbeat mood suggests that he and the team are gaining momentum and will become a serious threat in upcoming races. For Ryan Blaney, on the other hand, the events of the race turned into a story filled with what-ifs. Blaney had considerably been the dominant force throughout the day, leading an impressive 124 laps with what seemed an untouchable car, and the forgotten taste of victory was on his lips. But, as bound to happen in racing, the tables suddenly turned with the most unfortunate moments. After Stage 2, calamity struck when Blaney had to stay out of the way of Chase Elliott exiting his pit. The slight hesitation impinged on his seconds and put him in trouble back in the field. However, with what seemed to be too much havoc, Blaney suffered the worst as his engine packed up quite too suddenly. His race had to be called off in the image of billowing smoke from the hood, leaving fans and his team downcast. Blaney's engine failure cost him a probable victory and epitomized the unpredictable nature of racing. His team had done everything right for most of the day, but mechanical issues beyond their control snatched away their chance at victory. "We had a rocket today," said Blaney following the race. "It is just tough when things like that happen." Blaney's misadventures served as a fitting reminder that good performances can easily go unrewarded because of a myriad of other conditions outside the realm of a driver's control. With the playoff race in full swing, Blaney and his team will have to reassess their situation and make sure their equipment can stand the pressure of the remaining races. If they can recover from this, only time will tell. One thing for sure is that Blaney will not give up without a fight. Chase Elliott's race was bitterly difficult and did not go the way it had been planned. Trouble began for him when he received a penalty for not entering pit road in a single file, a mistake that cost him some significant positions. Elliott's car looked competitive at first, but the penalty thwarted his efforts to make his way back to the front. With all his sweat, Elliott failed to recover from his loss and finished at the back alongside the contenders. A day of frustration for Elliott and his crew, who had wished for better, as a few extra points would have bolstered their playoff chances. Elliott's pit slip shows how thin the line can be between success and failure in NASCAR. Just a little mistake at a routine pit stop can wreck an entire race, and that made Elliott's penalty a very costly one. Now that the season is into the critical periods, he and his team will have to make sure there will not be as many mistakes made during the rest of the season if they want to stay competitive. Homestead Miami Motor Speedway gave race fans a pretty well-cleaned show with only 2 caution flags that waved. Otherwise, The more exciting moments were contained within things such as Hendrick Motorsports teammates Larson and Bowman battling it out amongst themselves. Once again, a win for Larson proved Hendrick Motorsports remains king, but with Bowman's close finish and Wallace's strong performance, the fights are yet set to get fiery among the competitors. What do you think about Kyle Larson's win and the challenges faced by other drivers? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe for more NASCAR updates.